Tonight, students get better educated on the fight against AIDS.
Plus, airlines are on high alert as the Olympics begin in Sochi. Stay tuned, TrojanVision Nightly News starts now.
From the high-definition digital production center on the Troy campus, with news from Troy University locations around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Nightly News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Nightly News for February 6th, 2014. I'm Danielle Percival.
And I'm Haley Greathouse. Thank you for joining us this evening. Troy University's competitive twirling team will be heading down to the happiest place on earth next week to take part in an international twirling competition. Felicia Payne has more.
Troy University's competitive twirling team will travel down to Orlando next week to compete in Twirlmania at the ESPN's Wide World of Sports.
The trip to Disney is a national competition called Twirlmania, where all the elite twirlers across the country, both for solo competition and for collegiate competition, come and they compete.
The team has been preparing for the competition with practice several times a week since tryouts were held in September.
We've been meeting about twice a week, running our routines multiple times and practicing tricks and going over choreography, and lately we've been upping the practice time and having individual practices, and we feel like we're really prepared for our competition.
This is the competitive twirling team's second year going to the Twirlmania competition at Disney World, and they are hoping to bring back an even bigger trophy for the school.
Also really looking forward to representing the Sound of the South again, because I think we're going to do even better than we did last year. We did really well at last competition, but I feel like this year we're going to do even better, and I'm looking forward to bringing back a trophy back for the band and for our university.
But the team isn't getting there alone. It has been a community effort to send the team to the happiest place on earth.
We've had multiple spirit nights at Mama Goldberg's, at Milky Moo's, and Chick-fil-A, and they all went fairly well. And we also have a GoFundMe.com page, and that has actually really helped a bunch of people from across the state. Different twirling groups have really reached out to help us meet our goal.
And it's not too late to help the twirlers get to Disney. If you want to donate, simply go to GoFundMe.com. In the search bar, type in Troy Competitive Twirling Team Fund. Click on the first link and then click Donate. Woodard says if everyone simply donated $1, the team would be in great shape. Felicia Payne, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The twirling team will also be twirling tonight during halftime of the women's basketball game before they leave next Thursday.
A Troy University sorority was trying to help students become more educated about the fight against AIDS last night. Sigma Gamma Rho sorority held an AIDS awareness event Wednesday night in the Hall of Honor. The sisters shared information about the virus with students along with Montgomery AIDS Outreach. In addition to education, students had the chance to get tested for AIDS. The event was a build-up to National Black AIDS Awareness Day this Friday. Students who attended felt it was beneficial in a number of ways.
I feel like this is actually an event that a lot of individuals don't think about coming to, because, you know, being as African Americans and it being such a high rate, I feel like this should be an event that more people should come and be informed on, and it's also a great way to get tested and, you know, without coming out of pocket.
Sigma Gamma Rho gave out ribbons to students who attended to wear on Friday in support of National Black AIDS Awareness Day.
The daughter of civil rights pioneer Martin Luther King Jr. will be on the Troy campus this weekend as part of Troy University's Leadership Conference celebrating African American history. Reverend Bernice King, the young daughter of Martin Luther King, will deliver the opening address of this year's Leadership Conference scheduled for February 7th and 8th. In addition to the keynote address, there will be opportunities for Troy students to get involved with the conference.
We have 3 speakers that's going to be dedicated to our student sessions. Those speakers will be speaking on politics, speaking on the importance of networking, and speaking on the how to build up your resume so when you graduate from the university, you are one that's been sought by many companies within the nation.
Once again, the conference will be Friday and Saturday on the Troy campus. You can register for the conference by going to trojan.troy.edu/leadershipconference. The registration fee is $15 for students and $30 for the general public.
And now taking a look at news from around the state. In Dothan, a jury in South Alabama has convicted a man of 2 attempted murder charges for his involvement in a shooting at a graduation party last year. The Houston County jury convicted 22-year-old Kamaluddin Rahim Rasaw yesterday of 2 felony counts of attempted murder and found him not guilty of a third similar charge.
And in Ohatchee, Calhoun County Sheriff's Department says they're investigating a series of livestock slayings. Sheriff Larry Emerson said several goats were fatally shot in their heads and necks between February 1st and February 4th, and no suspects have been identified.
And in Vina, a former high school basketball coach accused of having a sexual relationship with a student has resigned. The Franklin County Board of Education accepted Brian Keaton's resignation during a meeting Tuesday night. Keaton was arrested in November on charges of a school employee having sex with a student under the age of 19.
Still to come on TrojanVision Nightly News, the women's and men's basketball team play at home tonight. Mitchell Spoon will give us some game previews when he joins us in sports. And now Mitchell Spoon will join us with sports. So Mitchell, today's a very busy day in Trojan athletics. There's a lot of activity on the campus.
That's right. We have a men's and women's basketball game at home tonight. But first we have a softball game. I get into that right now in sports. The Trojan softball team played their first game in the newly renovated softball complex this afternoon against the Auburn Tigers. And let's take a live look at the Trojan softball complex where the game is tied at 5 in the top of the 7th. The Trojans first put 4 runs on the board, courtesy of a grand slam by Michelle Phelps to take a 4-1 lead in the bottom of the first inning. Auburn tied it up with a 3-run shot in the top of the 7th. However, after the Tigers, the Trojans will turn their attention to another in-state SEC opponent, Alabama, who will be participating in the Troy Subway Invitational Tournament this weekend. Head coach Melanie Davis hopes things work out with the Trojans face the tie for the tournament title.
We have so many teams coming to town that we're going to be playing non-stop Friday, Saturday, Sunday on our facility, and there'll be some spillover games out at the Sportsplex. But of course, the Crimson Tide will be playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on our field against other opponents, and hopefully the tournament championship will come down to us and the Crimson Tide on Sunday afternoon, the final game of the tournament.
The Trojans will take on the Tide Sunday at 2:30 at the Trojan softball complex. However, their first opponent in the Subway Invitational will be Northwestern State tomorrow at 5. And an update, we just received word that Auburn put a score up on Troy and is now up 6-5. And 2 of the Sunbelt's hottest teams as of late will meet tonight when the women's basketball team hosts the Jaguars of South Alabama. Trojans and the Jaguars have won 3 of their last 4 games, with Troy's win coming against Sunbelt leader Arkansas State and South Alabama's over the other Trojans in the Sunbelt, UALR. The Trojans come into tonight's game with a 3-6 record in the conference, while South Alabama is sitting at 5-4. Troy scored at least 80 points in the last 4 games and is averaging almost 81 points a game, which leads the Sunbelt. Senior guard Joanna Harden leads the Trojans and the Sunbelt in scoring, averaging 25 points a game. She's just 21 points away from eclipsing the 1,000-point mark. South Alabama is led by Megan Dunn, who averages 12 points a game, and she is the only player averaging double figures in scoring, while it's followed closely behind by 3 other players who are averaging over 8 points a game. The Trojans are 14-19 all-time against South Alabama, but are just 3-15 since moving to the Sunbelt in 2005. South Alabama won both regular meetings last year, but lost to the Trojans in the first round in the Sunbelt Championships. The team is encouraging all fans to wear red to support the Go Red for Women campaign, which raises awareness for heart disease. And after the women's game, as part of a doubleheader, the men's basketball team will look to stop a 5-game losing streak against South Alabama tonight at 7:30. The Trojan offense is led by senior Hunter Williams, who averages 11.8 points a game, followed closely behind by Antoine Myers with 11.7 points. The Trojans entered the matchup with a 2-7 Sunbelt record and a 7-14 overall. The Jaguars come into the game even worse, though, with a 1-8 Sunbelt record and are 7-15 overall. They are led by the Sunbelt Conference Preseason Player of the Year, Augustin Rubit, who is averaging 16 points a game and 10 rebounds per game. The 2 teams are in the top half of scoring defense, with South Alabama ranked 3rd, allowing 68 points a game, and Troy right behind them ranked 4th, allowing 69 points a game. The Trojans are 6-15 all-time against South Alabama, including a pair of losses last season. Tip-off is set for 7:30. And earlier this year, Troy welcomed its new soccer coach, Jason Hamilton. Hamilton comes to Troy after spending the past season as an assistant coach with the Florida Gators women's soccer program. Athletics Director John Hartwell said he was pleased about the hire and excited to see Hamilton get to work with the program. And get to work he did. Yesterday, Hamilton announced his first signing class, adding 7 student athletes to the program. The signing class features 3 midfielders, 2 forwards, and 2 goalkeepers. Hamilton says this class will bring good depth to the team.
I'm definitely excited about the class coming in. I think the big thing the class adds as a whole is some athleticism to the team. 3 or 4 players that are, offensive-minded players, which will help us in the attack going forward. And then we have a trio of goalkeepers that'll give us some depth in that position and really kind of open up the opportunity for any of them to step in and, compete with Caitlin, who's here now in that position. So it's always good to have players come in and challenge players that are here and also give us depth in areas that we need it.
The soccer team will look to use these new signees to their full advantage. The soccer team will begin the 2014 season in August. And the Troy men's tennis team will play its first home match of the season on Friday when they host Alabama A&M at the Lunsford Tennis Complex. The Trojans come into the match winless at 0-5, and Alabama A&M is also winless and comes in with an 0-2 record. Troy played its last match nearly 2 weeks ago in a 6-1 loss to number 70 Tulane. 4 of Troy's 5 losses have come at the hands of ranked opponents. First match is set for 10 a.m. So, Haley, Danielle, hopefully the men's and women's team can both get a much-needed win tonight at home, both against South Alabama, and hopefully the Trojan softball team can pick up the wins that it needs against Auburn in this new softball complex.
Yes, we wish all the teams best of luck as they complete their games and finish them. Thank you.
Lots of in-state action.
Of course.